Hello everyone, welcome to the Mercury Virtual. Hope you are doing good. Today I'm going to start with your next topic, that is chapter number 4, chapter that is chapter number 4, processor architecture. Till now we have covered 3 chapters of your module. Now I'm going to start with chapter number 4. But before this, let's take a quick review what we have covered in the yesterday's class, that is last class. So let's take a quick review. In the last class, we have discussed about the last topic of chapter number 3, that is machine level representation of programs. In this, we have studied what is floating point number. So what is floating point number? That describes or that gives a method for representation of approximation of a real number. That is not exact real number, but it is an approximation of the real number that supports variety of or range of values. The numbers are in general represented approximately to a fixed number of significant digits that are known as significant and the exponent. Exponent means a mantissa part, means the exponent part, that is in part. This is known as this one. The form of floating point is significant digit into base and par is exponent. So these are the floating point number and the syntax for the floating point, how we can represent the floating point number. Then we have also studied this figure, that is how a floating point number is represented. So a floating point number can represent a very large, very small, very large negative number or very small number. So it will represent, or floating point number will represent any type of value, whether it may be small, whether it may be large, whether it may be large negative or small negative. Means it considers both the positive as well as the negative value, as well as both large and the small numbers. Then we also talked about this figure. This is your large negative number or large positive number, large negative number. This is also large positive number. Then we talked about a standard that is known as IEEE, Institute of Electronics and Electrical Engineers. So IEEE is a standard that provides, or IEEE is an organization that provides various standards. For example, IEEE 754 provides a floating point in modern computer. So IEEE also provided a floating point number that is used in modern computer. They said the IEEE has standardized the computer representation for binary floating point number in IEEE 754. So this provides various formats. There are various basic formats, there are various standard formats. Then we also talked about the basic format as well as the standard format, and three of these are the three basic versions. First one is your single precision, means there is a single value, it is of 32 bit and 24 bits. Then next one is your double precision. One is single precision and another one is double precision. And the third one is double extended or simple extended precision. So there are three types of precision. One is single, one is double extended. That is your extended precision. Then we also talked about the floating point arithmetic operations. Means what are the operations that is carried out or that is provided by the floating point numbers. So there are multiple operations that is provided or that is done by the floating point numbers, like addition, subtraction, division, multiplication. So first one is your addition and subtraction, means how we can add or how we can subtract floating point numbers. This is the example how we can use a simple method to add floating point number is to first represent with the same exponent. Means the main target is that making the same exponent. If it is 10 power 5, so become this exponent as 10 power 5 by shifting the right bits to the right hand side. Hence this plus this, whenever we add this one, so adding this one plus this one, and base are same and one number are same, so take the common and put the value. So this is common 10 power 5 and add the two numbers. So this is the output is 1.2344 655,84654. So this is how we can add the floating point number. Simply adding the exponent part or making the exponent part equal and then add the numbers. Then we also talked about how we are subtracting the numbers. This is the same concept. Simply first of all make the exponent part same, then subtract the number from one part to the another. Now next part is your multiplication and division. This is your different part. How we can multiply and how we can divide. This is to multiply the significand. Significand means the integer parts are multiplied while the exponent part are added. So the integer part, that is the significant parts, are multiplied with each other and the exponent parts are added with each other. And the result is rounded and normalized. This is your S equals to 4.734612, 5.417242. Now multiply these. First of all, multiply the significant part. That is your 25. This is your exponent part and add them. So 3 plus 5 is 8 and then multiply these terms. When we multiply, so this is the output and exponent part is added. That is your 8. And round. Why round till 5 digits after decimal? Because this is the question. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And there are how many numbers? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I have created, or I will choose only 7 numbers. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's why I'm using till 7th digit or till 7th number, and out of according to the digit that is available after 7, that is at the 8th position. Then we also studied about the character encoding. That is how we are using the character encoding and how different characters are encoded in a computer system. There are multiple encoding methods like ASCII, BCD. One of the important method is ASCII, that is American Standard Code for Information Interchange. This is of two types. Either it may be of 7-bit ASCII code, it may be of 8-bit ASCII code. 7-bit is represented by 128 characters and 8-bit is represented by 256 characters. Then we also talked about some integer, floating point number and character. This is a combination for, or this is common for all, that is integer, floating point number or characters. So the first topic is a number system. So whenever we represent the number in any system that is run by or that is known as number system. Number system are of generally 4 types: binary, octal, decimal, hexadecimal. So first one is your decimal, that have a base 10 and that have a numbers from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So there are total 10 numbers starting from 0 and ending with 9. It uses positional notation because this is a positional number system, so this uses positional notation. Then next is your binary number system that have a base 2. It has a base 10, it has a base 2, and it contains only 2 numbers, either 0 and 1. This is either 0 and 1, known as base. It is also a positional notation. Then next is your hexadecimal number system that have a base 16 and it contains total 16 numbers from 0 to 15. How it will represent it 0 to 15? First of all, it will represent 0 to 9 as a digit and then A to F as a character. So this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Then 10 is represented by A, B is represented by 11, C is represented by 12, 13, 14 and 15. So starting with 0 and ending with 15, and first of all using 0 to 9 as a digit, and after 9, that is 10th part, is represented by, or after 10 onward it is represented by characters. This says we shall denote a hexadecimal number, in short hex, with a suffix. Some programming languages denote hex numbers with prefix, that is 0x. So whenever we use a hexadecimal, it is denoted or it is preceded by or it is exceeded, suffix uses a h. These are the multiple number system format that is available for hexadecimal. This is for decimal, D, D, D. These are all for decimal number system. Next, we also studied about the conversion from one number system to another number system. That is conversion from hexadecimal to binary, binary to hexadecimal. There are multiple techniques. Then we also talked about converting any base. Any base means it may be octal, it may be binary, it may be hexadecimal. And that converted to the decimal part, that is base 10. So this is a common method for converting any base to the decimal number system. Then this is from decimal number to the any base, any type of base. That is maybe binary, that may be octal, that may be hexadecimal. Then general conversion between two base system with fractional part. Till now we have covered about the integer fraction. Now next topic is here we have studied is how we can convert one number system from another number system or to another number system with fractional part. Means there is a decimal part and how one number system is converted into the next or other number system. This is the example. And these are the exercises which you are supposed to submit latest by Wednesday, that is tomorrow. So that's all for yesterday's session. Now let's start with the today's session. Today I'm going to start with your new topic, that is processor. This is the topic in your module, processor architecture. So this is your chapter, that is processor architecture. It contains 5 topics or 6 topics. One is y86 instruction set architecture that I will be covered in the today's class. Then logic design and the hardware control language, that is HCL. Then sequential y86 implementation, that is how we can implement the sequential y86. Then general principles of pipelining. Then pipeline y86 implementation. Then there is a summary part. These are the 6 topics that is available in this chapter, that is processor architecture. So let's start with your introduction, that is what is processor architecture. Then I will cover the topic, that is y86 instruction set architecture. This is your chapter number 4, that is processor architecture. So first of all, the architecture. Architecture means or refers to the building design and construction. So whenever we say or whenever I say the architecture, so in simple terms my mind picture is that is a building design, or that is a structure, or that is a architecture, or that is a construction. So architecture refers to the building design of construction and construction. In computing world, that is in computer languages, architecture refers to the design, but instead of buildings, it describes the design of the computer system. So instead of designing or instead of using the building block, we are using, or it describes, architecture describes in computer, describes the design of a computer system, that is how it will implement or how different parts of a computer are built with each other. That is your design of the or architecture of the computer. Computer architecture is a broad topic. Why? It contains so many parts, so many programming languages. So it is a broad topic that includes everything from the relationship between multiple computers. Multiple computers, that is known as client-server model, to specific components inside a computer. So why it is saying it is a broad topic? Because it contains multiple computers. That is known as client-server architecture. So whenever I am using multiple computers or multiple networks inside the computer, inside the lab, inside the room, that is known as processor, or that is known as client-server architecture. Then next part is your this one. Then next paragraph says the important part or the most important type of hardware design is a computer processor architecture. That is, this is the most important type of hardware design. Not the building, not anything is most important. But the most important is that how we are using the computer processor architecture. The design of a processor determines. Processor means CPU. So the main topic of our topic is processor architecture. That is how we are determining or what is the architecture of the CPU. This is the design of the processor determines what software can run on the computer and what other hardware components are supported. So this is the line says this defines what software are required to run the CPU, what software are required to run the motherboard, what software are required to run the hardware, and what hardware components are required like CPU, motherboard, chip, what are required for the processor architecture. That is known as processor architecture. For example, Intel x86 processor architecture is the standard architecture. So this is one of the example of the processor architecture, that is Intel x86, that is used by most of the PCs, or that is used by most PCs, personal computers. By using this design, computer manufacturer can create machines that include different hardware components but run the same software. So they are using different or multiple hardware components but run the or using the or executing the same software. Means there are same software but different hardware components. Several years ago, Apple switched from PowerPC architecture to the x86 architecture to make the Macintosh platform that is more compatible with Windows PC. So this paragraph says, whenever we say processor architecture, that is architecture of the CPU, that includes software as well as the hardware component. Means what are the software required for the processor or for building the processor, and what are the hardware components required for making that software efficient, proficient, and that is available for execution. This is the note, most important note. Most modern computers have 64-bit processors and chipsets, while earlier computers used a 32-bit architecture. So most modern computers uses 64-bit. That is, in today's scenario, it uses 64-bit architecture, but prior to this, that is, earlier computer uses 32-bit architecture. A computer with a 62-bit architecture or 64-bit chipset supports far more memory than the one with a 32-bit chipset and can run software design specifically for 64-bit processors. So this paragraph says, in current today's scenario, we are using 64-bit processors, while the earlier computers uses 32-bit architecture or 32-bit processors. Now, let's see in your book. This is the definition for, or this is the introduction to the processor architecture. That includes IA, that is Intel architecture, that is of 32 bits, that is IA 32-bit architecture. Now, what is the useful or what is the advantages, what are the features of the processor architecture? One is that it is intellectually interesting and important. Why it is interesting? Why? Because it requires or it gives a detailed information about the processor. That's why it is more interesting and important. It is especially interesting to learn the inner working of the system that is a part of the daily lives of computer scientists and engineers. So this says it is very interesting to know the architecture or the internal or the inner part of the computer. Why it is so interesting? Because this gives a detailed picture of the inner part of the computer that are used by almost every scientist as well as the engineer. Then it helps to understand how processor works, aids in understanding how the overall computer system works. So whenever we are studying or whenever we are using processor architecture, So it gives a clear picture or clear understanding that how well or how the overall computer system works and how the main computer system or the overall computer system works with each other memory or with each other components. This is the techniques are used to create an image of very large memory with a very fast access time. That is, bandwidth is so high, the access time is very fast. Then next point says, although few people design processors, many design hardware systems that contains processor. That is, many people or the less people are using or design the processor. Many design hardware system that contains processors. So it is very easy or it is very interesting to know the processor architecture or know the architecture of the processor. Why? Very few people know the designing. If I know the designing, I will tell you. If you know the designing, you will tell to another person. So that's why the computer is in growing stage, because everyone knows the architecture. Everyone, if there is any problem, so I am able to clear or I am able to modify or I am able to clear the concept that is available for computer, that is known as by the processor architecture. For example, if I have a knowledge of a computer, I can make the computer effective. If I don't have a knowledge of the architecture of the processor, that is, don't have a knowledge of the processor, that is CPU and their architecture. So it is not meaningful for me to create any architecture, to do any task, to create any job, nothing. Why? I don't know about the architecture of the processor. So it is very important to learn the architecture of the processor. Then next is, you just might work on a processor design. In this chapter, we start by defining the simple instruction set, that is Y86 instruction set. It was inspired by IA32 instruction set. So let's start with Y86 instruction set architecture. Defining an instruction set architecture such as Y86 includes defining the different state elements, the set of instructions and their encoding. So it defines the instruction set architecture such as Y86 that includes multiple or the various state elements, set of instructions and their encoding, and the set of programming conventions and the handling of exceptional events. This says Y86 define various components, various architecture that is used by computer programmers. Now let's start with your instruction set architecture. First of all, IA or the instruction set architecture, then Y86. Assembly language view. This is the view, this is the diagram for the assembly language. First of all, there is an application program, compiler, OS. OS means operating system. That ISA, that is instruction set architecture. Then CPU design, circuit design, chip layout. So the first part is assembly language view. This contains multiple parts. First one is your processor state, that includes registers, memory. Then instructions, that includes add, push, return. Then it also says how instructions are encoded as bytes. This is your instruction. So first one is your assembly language view, then layer of abstraction. There are multiple layers, above layer and the below layer. Above layer indicates, this is your above layer, how to program the machine. Processor executes instruction in a sequence. This is your compiler, this is your OS. So how a processor or how CPU executes the instruction in a sequence, that is line by line. Next is your below, that is below the ISA. It shows what needs to be built. It uses a variety of tricks to make it run faster. These are used to make provides a variety of methods how these ISA or how processor works faster so that it can execute, this is written. So that example, it can execute multiple instructions simultaneously. Simultaneously means at the same time. So this is your next level. This is your below level, this is your above level. So above level is used for making the program effective or making the machine effective, and the below, that is the lower part, indicates how multiple computers or how multiple computers instructions execute at the same time simultaneously. And this is first point, it says this is your assembly language view. ISA, application program, compiler, OS, CPU design, circuit design, chip layout. Then let's start with the y86 processor states, or what is y86. So this is y86 processor state. These are the multiple registers. RF is known as program registers. These are the CC condition codes. These are the condition codes. These are the PC. DMEM, that is the memory, and the stat is program status, or the status is program status. It contains multiple parts, that is y86 contains multiple parts. One is your program register. These are same with the IA32. As I told you, EDI, ESI, ECX, ESP, EDI, so that are known as program registers that are same as with IA32. That is instruction architecture or Intel architecture 32. Each of the registers are of 32 bits. Then next part is your condition codes. That is how we are using the condition code. That is, condition code is of single bit flag. It may be 0 flag, it may be serial flag, single flag, it may be overflow flag. Single flag set by arithmetic or logical instruction. JF means 0 flag, SF means negative flag or the single flag, and or sign flag, and OF means overflow, that is overflow flag. Then program counter, that indicates the address of the next instruction. So these are the multiple states that is used in y86. This is very similar to the IA32. When I was discussing, or when I discussed about the IA32, I discussed all the things like registers, condition codes, PC. Then next is your program status. It indicates either normal operation or some error condition. Normal operation means normally it was, or it may be some error condition, there is any error, that is your program status. Then memory indicates the byte addressable storage area. Words stored in little endian byte order. So this is your memory, how simple multiple words or how multiple arrays are stored in the memory. So these are the multiple states in y86 processor or in y86 architecture. One is your registers, then CC, PC, program counter, program status, and memory. These are the multiple instruction set that is available in y86 processor or y86 architecture. One is this is your byte 0 to 5, that is your 6 byte. This one is your hold, that is 00, NOP 10, C move, that is RA RB, that is the A2 register B. This is 2 FN RA RB. Then IR move 1 V RB. This is B and this is RB. 30, these are the multiple number, that is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then A and B. Why? After 9 it starts with the hexadecimal, and in hexadecimal A is denoted by 10, B is denoted by 11, C is denoted by 12, right? So, and this is your first bit, that is 00, FN, 00, FN, FN 0000. These are the registers, and these are the multiple registers that are used for performing the operations. This is IR move 1, this is RM move 1, this is your D, this is your MR, this is your D. These are the multiple variables like V, D or D. Then OP1, that is operation performed on the RA and RB. Then JXS, that is going to the destination, then call the destination, then return the value, then push the value, and at last retrieve the value by using the pop operations. These are the multiple instructions that is provided by y86 architecture. Then what are the instructions, or what are the y86 instructions? The format is that 1 to 6 byte of information read from the memory. The main format, that is how we are using the instructions. The format is that it uses, or the y86 uses 1 to 6 bytes that starts with 1 and ends with 6 bytes of information that is read from the memory. It can determine instruction length from first byte. It starts with first byte and it can determine the instruction length from the first byte. Note as many instruction types and simpler encoding them with IA32. There are so many instructions that is not similar and that is not simple as comparison to the IA32. Each accesses and modifies some parts of the program status. So this affects the program status that is available for y86 architecture. These are the next instruction. This is your instruction set 1. This is your instruction set 2. This is hold knob, same hold knob, but these are used for like this one. These are used for these multiple registers. These are the registers. These are the commands. These are the registers. So one is your hold, that is stop for a moment, 0 0, no, 1 0, C move, RA, RV, these are the registers. In the same way, using the variables, using the variable for this, using the variable for this, using the variable for this, and this is denoted, or this is used as this one, like RR move 1, C move LE, C move 1, C move NE, C move NGE, C move G. So these are the multiple instructions, these are the multiple registers, these are the multiple bits that are used for the different register or multiple instruction that is available for y86. Then JXX destination, going to the destination, then call the destination, return the value, push the operation means insert the operations, insert into the stack, then pop. Pop means retrieve the value from the stack. This is your next instruction, that is set 3. These are the same values, hold, no, C move, IR move, R move, MR move, and these are the used for operation part, addition, subtraction and XOR. As I told you, there are multiple operations with the help of binary number, that is addition, subtraction and operation, that is multiply the bits, adding the bits, subtracting the bits and finding the XOR of the bits. And look over here, this is used for moving. These are the multiple move command and these are the multiple operations that is performed on the bits that is decided or that is given by y86 architecture. This is your next instruction that is used for how we are jumping or how we move to the destination or how we jump to the destination. These are the multiple jump commands, that is JMP, JLE, JL, JE, JNE, JGE and JG. And these are the multiple bytes, hold, no, RR move, IR move 1, RM move 1, MR move 1, OP1, JXX, call, return, push, pop. These are the same, but it denotes that these are the multiple extra operations or the multiple extra instructions that is available for jumping part whenever we jump from one part or whenever we jump the input to the output. Next, encoding registers, that is how we are using, that is how we encode the registers. Encoding means changing the format for the register. This says each register has a 4-bit ID. This is your 4-bit percentage EAX. It has a 4-bit ID. EAX has a ID 0, 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 4, 5. That is 4 has a value ESP and 5 EBP, 6 ESI, 7 EDI. This is the same encoding as we did in the IA32. So each register has 4-bit ID. Register ID 15, that is 0 into F, indicates no register. So the last register, that is register ID 15, indicates no register, or it is denoted by 0 into or 0 multiplied by F. We'll use this in our hardware design in multiple places. Next is your example for the instructions, that how we are using the instructions. First is your addition instruction, that is how we are adding. Simply use the add1, RA1 register and RAB. This is your encoded representation, that is how we are using or how we encode the instructions with the help of Y86 instruction set. This is general form, that is RA, RB, register A, register B. This is your encoded representation, that is 60 RA, RB. RA, RB means register A and register B. This gives the explanation of this. Add values in register RA to that in register RB. So add the values of RA and RB. Store the result in register RB. It stores the result in register RB. It stores the result in register RB. Why? This is your destination, this is your source. So adding both the values and putting the result from RA to RB. It stores the result in register RB. Note that Y86 only allows addition to be applied to the register data. Next point says set condition codes based on the result. Depending on the result, it sets the condition code. Means what is the condition that gives for the instruction, or what is the condition that is used for the instruction. Next point says example. Add L percentage EAX, that is using the registers ESI, encoding is 60 and 06. Then next point says 2-byte encoding, that is how we are using the 2-byte encoding, or how we are using only 2-byte encoding. The first byte indicates instruction type, the second byte indicates or gives source and destination register. These are the encoded form. So there are 2 bytes that is used. So first byte, that is 6, that is used for indicating the instruction type, and the second gives the source and the destination register, that is your RA and the RB. Then next part is your arithmetic and logical operations. There are multiple arithmetic and logical operations that is used. Arithmetic operations like add, subtract, multiply, and the logical operations are AND, XOR. So it refers to generally as OP1, that is output 1. Encoding differ only by function code. So whenever we write the coding for the function, or whenever we write code for the operation, that change the encoding part by using the function code. It has a low order 4 bytes in first instruction word. Next, set condition codes as side effect. Based on the result, set the condition codes. So this is your add operation. Add RA RB 60 RA RB. Subtract RA RB. This is used for subtraction. That is adding the RA and the RB and put the result in RB. This is subtracting the RA from the RB. Then finding the AND operation between the RA and the RB. This is the 60 function code, instruction code. This is 1, this is 2, this is 3, and these are the same. Instruction codes are same, but the function codes are different. Then finding the XOR, so using the 2 registers, that is RA and RB. Next is your move operations. This is your arithmetic and logical operations. Next is your move operations. These are used for move operations like RR, move 1, RA, RB. So move the results or move the content of register from one part to the another part. Then IR move 1, B, RB. Then RM move 1, RA, D, RB. Then MR move 1, D, RB, RA. So this is used for moving. So moving from register to the memory. This is your register. This is your register. So move the register to the memory. Move the immediate to the register. move the register to the register. This is RA, RB. So move from one register to another register. One from one variable, that is immediate, to the another register. Move from register to the memory. This is RA, move from register to the memory, that is denoted by D. Then memory to register. This is memory to the register. So there are multiple move operations, that is from register to register, variable to register, register to memory, and vice versa, that is memory to register. Like the IA32 move one instruction, simple format for memory addresses, as you know, these are the same as we discussed with the when we are discussing the IA32 move one operation. Then move instruction examples. These are the multiple examples. This is used for comparison. This is used in IA32. This is used in I66. That is move 1. This is only IR move 1. And exactly all the parts are same. This is move 1. This is RR move 1. This is move 1. This is MR move 1. Exactly the same, but the main difference that using the extended part or using the prefix, that is move 1, IR move 1, move 1, RR move 1, move 1, MR move 1. This is move 1, this is used for move 1, this is used for moving the register to the register, this is used for moving the register to the memory, this is used for moving the memory or the variable to the register. Then next is your conditional move instructions. What are the conditional instructions that is used for moving the instruction in Y86 architecture? One is your RR move 1, same RARB, refers to generally as C move XX. Then move when less or equal, this is used for less or equal, this is used when less, this is used for equal, this is for less or equal, this is only for less, this is for equal, this is more when not equal, this is more when greater or equal, this is only for greater. So these are the multiple instructions that is provided by Y86 processor or Y86 architecture. Then next is your jump instructions. There are multiple jump instructions also. One is your jump unconditionally, means there is no destination, simply jump. So that is your JMP destination. Refers to generally as JXX. This is C move XX, this is JXX. That next is your jump when less or equal. This is your jumping for less or equal, LE. This is only for less, this is for equal. Then jump when not equal, that is not equal, NE. Jump when greater or equal, that is GE. Jump when greater. So these are the multiple instructions that is used for jumping. One is used for unconditionally, one is used for less or equal, one is used for less, one is used for equal, not equal, greater or equal, or greater. Then next part is your Y86 program stack. That is, what is the stack or the how stack of Y86 looks like. But before this, let's take only 5 minutes break and then come back starting with the next topic, that is your Y86 program stack. So first of all, let's take 5 minutes break. Start with the next topic, that is Y86 program stack. Y86 program stack, that is how Y86 programs stored in the stack using the push operator, and how multiple programs retrieved from the stack using the pop operations. This is Y86 program stack. This is stack bottom, this is stack top. This is in increasing addresses. That's from top to the bottom. That is your stack top, this is your stack top, this is your percentage EXP. This is region of memory holding program data. This is the reason that is used for holding the program data that is used in y86 and IA32 for supporting procedure codes. So stack is used for storing or used in y86 for supporting the procedure codes. Then stack top indicated by %exp. As I told you, this is indicated by the top element, that is address of top stack element. Then stack grows towards lower addresses. So as we move, so it grows from the upper to the or from top to the bottom, that is from it grows towards lower addresses. Top element is at the highest address. This is at the highest address in the stack. When pushing, must first decrement stack pointer. So whenever we push into the stack or whenever we push any element into the stack, so first of all decrement the stack pointer so that next time it will increment or next time it will insert into the next position. And after popping, increment the stack pointer. Why increment it? Because one address is vacant. So if you increment the stack pointer so that it will create the pointer or it stores the address for the another variable. So whenever we push, remove the stack pointer for deleting the memory address, and whenever we pop, increment the stack pointer using the memory address. So this is used for a stack pointer. This is the scenario, or this is the y86 program stack. Then next is your stack operations. There are generally two stack operations. One is push and another one is pop. So there are two operations, push and pop. So one is push LRA, that is push into the or push the register RA. This is your character encoding A0RAF, that is decrement ESP by 4. This is ESP decrement by 4. Then store the word from array, that is storing the word from array to the memory at ESP, that is %ESP, like IA32. Then pop operation, that is pop LRA. This is used for retrieving the value. This is the decoding part. B0RAF. Only this is different. This is A, this is B. These are the same. 00RAF. This is read the memory read the word from the memory. This is used for storing the word from RA to memory. This is used for reading the word from the memory at %ESP. Then save in RA, that is saved in the RA. Retrieve and then save in RA. Then increment %ESP by 4, like IA32. So this will decrement by 4, this will increment by 4. Then next is your subroutine call and return. That is how we can call the subroutine. First of all, what is subroutine? It is like a procedure that is a small program, that is a sub-program of the main program. So whenever we divide the main program into the multiple parts, into the multiple chunks, that is known as subroutine. And we can call the subroutine, we can call any subprogram, and we can also give the returning, or we can return the values of the subroutine. That is known as subroutine call and return. This says call the destination. That is, call the destination means this is used for subroutine calling. That pushes the address of the next instruction onto the stack. Why next instruction? Because I am inserting and I am using the subroutine, that is next instruction. So push the address of the next instruction onto the stack for inserting the values. Next part says start executing the instructions at destination. First of all, push the address, then at next start executing the instructions at the destination, like IA32. In every word, in every paragraph, in every point, at every point of time, it is said like IA32 because Y86 is more similar to the IA32. Then next is your RET, that is return 90, that is removing the value from the stack. First of all, calling, that is used for inserting or pushing the addresses, then return, that is used for popping the value or retrieving the value from the stack. Then next is uses an address or use an address for the next instruction. Then it is says like IA32. This is used for calling and this is used for returning. Then next one is your miscellaneous instruction. That is, what are the miscellaneous instructions that is used in Y86 instruction set? Next, that is NOP. This is not used for anything. Don't do anything. This is hold, that is used for stopping or stop the execution. Hold means stop. So this is used for stop the executing instructions. Suppose there are 5 instructions or there are 2 instructions that are already executing. So whenever I use hold, HALT, that is used for stopping the executing or that is used for stopping the instructions that are currently in execution stage. Then next is your next point says IA32 has comparable instruction but cannot execute it in user mode. So it has a comparable instruction, same instruction hold, but cannot execute or it will not execute in the user mode. Next point says we will use it to stop the simulator. That is, hold is used to stop the simulator. Simulator is a device that is used to simulate. Simulate means to execute or to stop the processing. That is used to stop the simulator. Then next point says encoding ensures, this is your encoding 00. It ensures that program hitting memory initialized to 0 will hold. That is, whenever a program that hits the memory, whenever a program is recorded or stored in the memory, it is initialized to 0 and it will hold. Next is your status condition, that is what are the codes or what are the conditions, that is status conditions are available. But before this, let's take with your book, that is what is discussed with your book. This is your Y86 instruction set architecture. This is programmer visible state, that is how we are using, what is the program, what is the state. This is says each instruction in Y86 program can read and modify some part of the processor state. That is known as, or this is referred as the programmer visible state, where the programmer in this case is either someone writing the program or the compiler generating the machine level code. So the programmer may be who manually writes the program, or the programmer may be the compiler that generates or that gives the machine level code, like compiler, interpreter. There are 8 program registers. The state for Y86 is similar to the state of IA32. These are the 8 registers which I told you: EAX, ESI, CC, PC, program status, memory. As I told you, there is an exception. Then Y86 instructions are covered. So many instructions like move instruction, jump instruction, arithmetic logical instructions. This says multiple instruction sets are available. The IA32 move instruction is split into 4 instructions, that is IR move 1, RR move 1, MR move 1 and RM move 1. These are the multiple instruction set that I have discussed. This is the instruction coding between 1 and 6, that is from 0 to 5. These are the topics which were covered with the help of slides. Then next is your instruction encoding. This is also discussed, that how we are using or how we are doing the encoding or the next or the ciphertext to the instruction, or giving the next format, new format to the instructions. This says each instruction requires between 1 and 6 bytes depending on which fields are required. Every instruction has an initial byte identifying the instruction type. This byte is split into the 4 parts or 4-bit parts, that is high order, code part and the low order or function part. These are the multiple parts that are used for encoding, that are used for instruction. One is your high order code, high order or code part, and the low order or function part. The function values are significant only for the cases where a group of related instructions share a common code. So this is your multiple instructions, and every instruction must have a, or every register must have a register ID, that is ID, register identifier, that ranges from 0 to 7. The numbering of registers in Y86 matches what is used in IA32. The program registers are stored within the CPU in a register file, a small random access memory, where the register ID serves operations, branch conditions and data transfer conditions. These are the multiple addition operations, these are the operations, these are the branches, and these are the moves. As I discussed with the help of slides, multiple operations, multiple instructions. One is used for operations, one is used for branching, one is used for moving, like move operation, jump operation, operations, simple operation matlab means arithmetic operations like addition, subtraction, logical operations, that is and XOR operations. So this says the code specifies a particular integer operation, branch condition or data transfer condition. These are shown as OPL, JXX and CMOVXX. This is operation is used as OP1, branching is used as JXX, move is used as CMOVXX. These are the multiple numbers and used for register. Number 0 is represented or used register as percentage EAX, 1 ECX, 3 EBP, 4 ESP and so on till 7, and the last is represented by F, that is no register. This all I have discussed with the help of slides. Now let's see with the next topic. That is status conditions. Means what are the conditions that is used for showing the status in Y86 architecture. First condition is your normal operation. Mnemonics is AOK and the code is 1. Next is your HLT, that is used for hold, and the code is 2, that is hold instruction and counter. Next mnemonic is your ADR, that is your bad address, that is either instruction or data and counter, that is bad address and counter. Next mnemonic is your INS, that is invalid instruction and counter. These are the multiple stated conditions or status conditions like AOK, HLT, ADR, INS. Then next is your desired behavior. Means what are the behavior that is used while using the status condition. First one says if AOK, keep going, means if normal operation keep going on the status conditions, otherwise stop the program execution. Means if there is a AOK, then simply goes from one place to another place to another. So this is AOK. Otherwise stop the program execution. If I'm using HLT, stop, ADR, stop, INS, stop. These are the multiple status conditions that is used by or that is used in Y86 architecture. Then next is your writing Y86 code. That is how we are write or how we are able to write the Y86 code. First line says try to use C compiler as much as possible. Means whenever we have to write the Y86 code, so try to use the C compiler. C compiler, why C compiler? That is used for compiling the C programs, because that compiler is more better for writing the code. That compiler is known as Turbo C compiler. So try to use the C compiler as much as possible. Next, this says write the code in C. Compile for the IA32 with GCC3401S. So this is the version. How you compile? With the use of GCC3401S. And write the code in the C language. C is a programming language. Write the code for the Y86 in the C language. This says newer versions of GCC do too much optimization. Next point says use ls command, usr, that is user command, bin command, GCC to find what versions are available. That is, first of all, write the code in C, then compile for IA32, then newer versions are used for the compilation, for the optimization, then use ls, usr, bin, GCC to find what versions are available, and then translate it into the Y86. So first of all, write the code, compile the code, and then translate into the Y86 instructions. So these are the multiple steps. First of all, write, then compile, then translate into the Y86 instructions. Then next part is your coding example. This is your example for the coding. This is int len L, that is used for finding the length. Int A, this is your array. This is A 5043 6125 7395. This contains how many elements? 3 elements. That contains a number that is used for length, that is 3. Then how to write the Y86 code generation, or how to write the Y86 code. First try. Write typical array code. Problem. Hard to do array indexing or Y86. What is array indexing? As I told you, array indexing means what is the memory location or what is the array size or the array index, like A0, A1, A2, A3, that are known as array index. It is very hard to do the array indexing or Y86 since don't have scaled addressing modes. This is your first try. Write typical array code that is used for finding the number of elements in null terminated list. So this is int L len 1 int A, that is array, semicolon, curly braces star, int len, take the one variable, this is the function name, this is the argument, take the one variable as len using the for loop. By using for loop, for giving the values or for initializing the value. So first of all, use len equals to 0, that is length equals to 0, a len goes from array using the array and goes from 0 to the number that is returned or that is given by the array. Then len plus plus, do the operation, then return the len value. So this is the how we are using the Y86 code by using the C language. This is the syntax or this is the looping for C. So this is used with by the C language or this is used with the C language. This is used for increment, compare, jump. The next example is your second try. Write with pointer code. This is your typical array code, then pointer code. This says find number of elements in null terminated list. This is int len 2, that is length, int A array, that is A. So this is used for array element. This is used for argument. This is your function name. Curly braces start. In len equals to 0. Here I am using for loop. Here I am using while loop. So the same concept. Len equals to 0, that is length equals to 0. While pointer a plus plus, that is I am using the pointer variable, that is pointer a plus plus. Then len plus plus means incrementing the values of len from 0 to 1, 1 to 2, 1 to 3 and so on. Then at last return the len value. At last it says compile with GCC 3401S. So after writing the code in C language, write the code in with the help of compiler, that is GCC 3401S. Result is that don't need to do the index addressing. This is L11, this is increment, use first of all increment, then move, then add, then text, and then JNE L11. Now, next topic is your CISC instruction set. This is your most important, as you see in your book. This is your RISC, CISC. These are the exceptions which I told you. What are the exceptions available in Y86 programs? I told you already. This is your IA32 code. This is the example Y86 code. These are the multiple examples that is used with Y86 and IA32. These are the instructions that we have discussed, push, pop operations. Now, what is CICS instruction set? The full form is Complex Instruction Set Computer. This is Complex Instruction Set Computer. This is the dominant style through mid-80s. That is, it is effective from the mid-80s. This is the dominant style for the Y86. It is a dominant style for the architecture. This is a stack-oriented instruction set. Uses the stack to pass the argument. So CICS uses the stack to pass the argument, save the program counter, and uses the program counter whenever a program is incremented from one part to the another part. Explicit, that is used push and the pop operations. Then in CICS, arithmetic instructions can access the memory, that is 8DD add EAX12 requires memory read and write. Then it requires or it gives complex address calculations. Then condition codes. What are the condition codes? Set as side effect of arithmetic and logical operations. Then philosophy, add the instruction to perform typical programming tasks. So this is simply CICS is complex instruction set registers that are used for storing the instructions that is used by Y86 processor architecture. So this is used along with the Y86 processor architecture. Next instruction set for the next two for the instruction is RISC. This is CISC. This is RISC, that is Reduced Instruction Set Computer. It is internal project at IBM that is used by the IBM, later popularized by Hensey, Stanford and Peterson. This is fewer, simpler instructions, might take more to get given task done, can execute them with small and fast hardware. Next point says register-oriented instruction set. Only load and store the instruction, can access the memory. It is similar to the Y86 MR move 1 and RM move 1. Then there are no condition codes in instruction or RISC, that is Reduced Instruction Set Computer. So that's all for today's session. Now, if you have any doubts, then please text the doubt and I will answer you. But before that, let's take a quick review what we have covered in the today's class. So first of all, I have started with chapter number 4, that is processor architecture. First of all, we have studied about the short, that is in brief, what is processor architecture. So architecture means a building design or the building construction. That is, whenever we use the architecture, that is a structure of anything. For example, if I am using computing, so architecture means the designing that consists or the design of the computer system that forms a computer. Then we also covered what is the processor architecture, that is the most important or the most prominent part of the type of the hardware design is a processor architecture that is used, that gives what software are running on the computers and what hardware components are supported for the software. Many times, Apple switched from the PowerPC architecture to the x86 architecture to make the Macintosh platform more compatible with the Windows PC. And this is the important line. In the day-to-day scenario, the modern computers have using 64-bit processor, while the earlier computers are using or have used 32-bit architecture. Then we have talked about the instruction set architecture, that is ISA. There are multiple parts, above part and the below part. Above part indicates how program executes and the low part indicates how multiple instructions execute at the same time. This is assembly language view. These are the instructions. Then y86 processor states. These are the multiple states that is used for y86. One is program registers, CC condition codes, PC, program status and memory. Then next is your y86 instruction set 1. These are the multiple instructions that is used for y86 that starts from 0 and ending with the 5. These are the multiple bytes used for the instruction set. Then y86 instruction, we have also talked about the y86 instruction that is from 1 to the 6 bytes that read from the memory. Then we have also talked about the instruction set 2. What are the multiple instructions that is available for y86 processor architecture. This is set 3, multiple other instruction. These are the instructions that is used for moving, that is the move instruction. These are the instructions that is used for operations like add, subtract and XOR. This is the instruction for giving or for jumping. So these is used for jumping, for arithmetic operations and for moving the operations. Then y86 instructions. Then we have talked about the encoding registers. What are the encoding registers available? Then instruction example. What is the example for instruction? This is the example for addition. This is the arithmetic and logical operations like addition, subtraction and the logical operations like AND, XOR. Then move operations like RR move 1, IR move 1, RM move 1 and MR move 1. We also talked about the move instruction example. These are the examples. There is a comparison between IA32 and Y86. Then we also talked about the conditional move instructions. This is the move unconditionally, move well less than or equals to. Then we also talked about the jump instructions. This is jump unconditionally, jump when less or equal. Then we also talked about the program stack that is used for Y86. What are the stack operations used in Y86? Push and pop, subroutine, how the subroutine call and return. These are the miscellaneous instructions, hold and NOP. Then we also talked about the conditions that is used for showing the status, that is status conditions. Then we have also talked about how to write the Y86 code. First of all, write the code in C language, then compile and then translate into Y86. These are the examples for Y86. Then we also talked about the CISC, that is complex instruction set computer, and that is RISC, that is reduced instruction set computer. So that's all for today's session. Now, if you have any doubt, then please text the doubt and I will answer it. So thank you so much everyone. So that's all for today's session. Tomorrow I am going to take the next topic, that is SCL of chapter number 2, that is processor architecture. So that's all for today's session.